lovely fall day out there, and I happen to love fall. Anybody didn't know I'm a native New Englander, so I think it's inherent in me, my DNA, to just show preference for this season. I would say we arguably have the best landscape to enjoy color changing of the leaves. We are awash in fall festivals and hay rides, and then there's the harvest. Apple orchards, pumpkin patches, farms large and small. They seem to teem with activity and to get their final proceeds in before the long, cold winter. I think what's not to love about this season? Fall is also a season of twilight. It's the metaphorical sunsetting of a life as it approaches the cold darkness of the great beyond. As much as we connect with the community through festivals and harvest celebrations, we're also aware that we need to prepare for winter. We harvest so that the fruits of our lives can bring the warmth and light of fond memories into those cold, dark times spent indoors, away from community. So what do we harvest? What do we gather to keep our spirits warm when the light of a life has left us? Photos, perhaps? Maybe letters our loved ones wrote when they were alive? Maybe trinkets or curios that they collected? In the case of my family, my wife actually has harvested recipes. Both her mother, who has passed, and her grandmother, her babci. Now, she comes from a Polish background, so there are some Polish recipes, but also some are just favorite dishes that they had when they were alive and they passed down to their children. And I've got to reap the benefits, and I generally cooked most of those recipes, so I can say that it didn't just nourish my heart, but it also nourished my stomach and the stomach of our family. Sometimes the people that we lose leave us a lot, maybe too much. And sometimes we're left sifting through mountains of things that tell us the story of a person who perhaps was searching to fill a void missing in their own life. We honor their tragedy by giving voice, giving witness to their struggles, perhaps witness to the unburdening of those who had taken on the struggles to care for them in their lifetime. And other times, a life is taken before we have a chance to gather anything to remember that life. It's kind of like an unripened fruit that has fallen from the tree. We were not ready to harvest, yet we could have been. We knew that the conditions around the growth of that fruit were harsh. And there were other fruits which had fallen before this one. But we just didn't prepare. When is one ready for such a tragic loss? This kind of unharvested loss gives us pause. When the world around us focuses on the fruits of a well-harvested life and the bounties of lives well lived, it can be easy to forget those whose lives were cut short. Just as the media's response is often to forget these tragic stories as soon as they can, so too it is in our nature to wish that these hard memories go away more quickly so we don't have to deal with the heartache of a tragic and senseless loss. But as people who are committed to working for justice, we might just need to resist this nature. A tragic and unjust end of a life is no less worthy than the slow end of a life well lived. The Black Lives Matter movement started now 12 years ago, organized in response to this false narrative that some lives are worth less than others, and that they do not deserve the respectful treatment in our legal system. Saying those names, gathering in vigil to honor the lives of dark-skinned humans taken unjustly, is a way of using remembrance as resistance. Vigils resist the culture which rushes to forget these lives. By saying these names at vigils and by continuously posting them on social media, we keep their memories alive. In his novel, The Issa Valley, Czesław Miłosz writes that the living owe it to those who can no longer speak to tell their story for them. When we bear witness to a life, we assure that something will live on. A name, an image, a story. Sometimes the story of how someone lived inspires us, and sometimes the story of how they died does. When we include a name of a life in our rituals of remembrance like we do today, be they on this altar at church, be they at a vigil in a public square, be they at home in a personal sacred space. We are heeding the call echoed throughout the ages, which urges us who have come after them and who are still yet to be, to hear their words, remember us, remember us.